Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Dynamics 365 series. So, again, my name is Guillaume Rocher. I am an analyst with Groupe Azur, and as always, I'm joined with the lovely Taruna.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cherna once again. So I am the SMB Business Application Lead at Microsoft Canada, and I'm here to kind of help you or walk you through some of the cool features that we have with Business Central. So once again, welcome to this Dynamics Business Central webinar series hosted by Groupe Azur with Microsoft and with Sherweb as well. And the intention here is that you get to know how Business Central can improve your day-to-day life. So if you haven't already, I would suggest that you just go back in previous episodes, watch the trailer so that you can understand what we're discussing today. And then we also have some day in the lives videos of sales and marketing previously, as well as people in the warehouse. And so go take a look at that. And then if you haven't already, and then come back to this episode.
So, a bit of a forward before we begin. So, the functionalities that we'll be seeing today are part of Business Central Premium, which is a different type of license. So, the features we're going to be showing do come in the default out of the box product, but you do need a premium license to access them. So make sure that if these are functionalities that are interesting for you and your business, make sure you get those premium licenses and make sure you turn them on. So if you can see on the screen, it's right there. You'll go into the company information, you'll change the experience from essentials to premium, and you'll be able to access all these really cool features.
So today in this episode, we're welcoming Tammy, who is the manufacturing manager. And so she basically takes care of everything related to the manufacturing of their furniture, of ProBark's furniture. And so what we're going to walk you through today is that she will be setting up a new production line for a piece of furniture. And to do so, she's going to actually need to start setting up a machine center and a work center. So let's talk about that a little bit more. And so work centers, machine centers, what does that all mean? It's basically an hierarchy system or a group so that we can just better organize your production. So machine centers are considered to be the smallest, and they basically represent all the different machines or the types of labors that you have that you're using in production. And then these machine centers are attributed to the work centers. And so you kind of group all of these machine centers under one work center, which basically is just a larger group. So for instance, if your machine center uses the assembling items, you could basically group that under, let's call it assembly work center. And then if let's say you have a lot of work center and you want to group that even further under a work center group, you can do that as well. And so it's just a way to better organize what you have in production so that it's just easier for you to manage and that you're able to also just better automate some processes that you may have.
Absolutely, and these are really going to help you manage all sort of attributes about your production, such as capabilities, availability, efficiency, scrap, all those kind of things. But before you set them up, do make sure you set up shop calendars. So shop calendars is basically going to be telling your system what kind of schedule do you have? Are these machines available 24/7? What about your workers? Are they coming from a 9 to 5 shift or a night shift, or how long is it? Do they have holidays? So make sure you associate the schedules to your different production items so that the system knows when they're available and they'll be able to do all the planning and calculate all those other important statistics. So then these machine and work centers are going to be used in the different bill of materials and the different routings. So it's really important to set them right. And a special word of caution about the units of measure. So is it a box? Is it a pallet? Is it are you calculating in minutes or hours? So do make sure that all of these things are accurately configured. And as always, the Business Central manufacturing setup and the general module setups can help you really get started on that. So don't be afraid to use them. That's what they're there for.
So basically, now that Tammy has configured all of the different machine and work centers that she needs, she's going to now set up a routing and a bill of material that's going to go into making this new item. Um, I think we were talking about this recipe analogy, which I have to share. And so it's honestly like making a recipe. Let's think about making a vegetable recipe soup or a vegetable soup recipe. And so the routing is basically the process in which you're going to mix all your ingredients, all your spices, the water. Um, it really encompasses the process. And so, what is the process required to build this new piece of furniture for Tammy? And then the bill of material is everything to do with the ingredient list. And so, what is actually needed to build this piece of furniture? If it's a chair, you probably need some wood, you need some legs, you need the actual chair component. And so it kind of helps understand what would be the costs associated with all of that and better manage your bill of materials. And so together, your bill of materials, which is your ingredient list, which your route with your routing, which is your process, you're able to kind of set up a new production line. So that's, I think, honestly, it was an analogy that really hit home. Got me hungry a few times, but I think it's the best way to also just view how easy it is to set this up in Business Central.
And that's a beautiful analogy to Runa. And there's so many good features that Business Central brings to this. There's a lot of things you can do with bills of materials and routings. For example, you can make copies of that recipe, right? So if you're making a slightly different recipe, to use your analogy, and this time you want to cook it longer, or you want to make sure that I don't know, you let it simmer for a bit, things like that. So you can copy your routing and make modifications, so you don't have to re-enter your recipe line by line. You can configure things like scrap, concurrent capacities, and so much more. So there's really a lot of flexibility here. So you're really going to love this. Additionally, same things for the bill of materials, same level of configuration where you can copy it and edit it, so you don't have to remake it from scratch every time. And as always, in Business Central, the action ribbon is going to be filled with all these really useful buttons. So what are the next steps? What are the related documents? What about the statistics, the reports, and much more, so you can get everything you need right from that same page. So, once everything is done, just make sure that once you're done with your routing and your bill of materials, you change the status of them to certified. And this will tell the system they are ready to be used, they are ready for production. And now all that we have left to do is assign it to the item. So in your example, if we make a vegetable soup item in our item catalog, we're going to go to that vegetable soup and we're going to assign it the vegetable soup recipe and the vegetable soup, bill of materials and ingredients. So just very simple, very elegant, just very enjoyable to use.
So now that Tammy has basically her routing figured out as well as her bill of materials, so now she can focus on her like super to-do list, which is also called the planning worksheet. And so her planning worksheet basically helps her plan, as it says, what the production operations will look like. And so what's the volume required? Do you need to plan this daily? Do you need to plan this weekly? And it really helps kind of create that to-do list assigned to that recipe, or the planning worksheet that's assigned to your bill of materials and your routing. And so what's really cool about Business Central is that because of some of the embedded AI functionalities that we have in there, Business Central will start also looking into what's anticipated. And so, what's the actual demand for sales? What's the assembly, the production process like? And then, do we need to do some stock keeping units? Do we need to transfer some locations? So it'll kind of help you optimize your production in that way. And then the system, the planning system will actually help you calculate either a master planning schedule or a material requirements planning, so that you can truly run your business, your manufacturing business, more efficiently. So altogether, planning worksheet just ties everything in well together.
Additionally, from that, you can use your master planning schedule to carry out tasks for you, right? So you have the super to-do list, as you mentioned, Taruna, that tells you everything you're going to need to do. When are your machines going to be ready? What ingredients you need? What materials? Everything, right? And you're going to be able to tell your system, all right, I need you to create the purchase orders for these materials, create the service orders, whatever you may need. I need products assembled, all of that. So you're going to be able to tell your system, please carry out all these action messages for me. And this saves you so much time, so a lot of valuable time, It reduces human error a lot, from having to go back, create individual documents. Did you miss a document? Did you fill it incorrectly? Now, thanks to this feature, you're going to generate the whole list. You're going to have all your action items, and you're going to say, please do them for me. And just like that, your system is going to carry out those action messages. You can choose to review them if you want. You can choose to print them out. And as you mentioned, Taruna is going to look into the future, see, with magic AI crystal ball, anticipate that demand, and really make sure your operations are flowing really smoothly, and that in manufacturing is flowing smoothly. And just really a really cool feature. It saves you so much time.
So now that we've basically created this new item that Tammy wanted to do at the beginning, what happens next? What's important for you and your business? Well, for ProBark, what's important is to understand what the actual cost was and understanding what the differences were between the expected costs and the actual costs. And so this really helps for management purposes to understand how you can optimize your cost, optimize your operations. You can reduce your cost as well this way. And it's just it's the perks of having all of your data kind of reside in one database system or in one business management system. And it really gives you this end-to-end clarity of what's happening in your organization and in your manufacturing firm. And so with this information, Tammy is basically keeping an accurate picture of what ProBark manufacturing goals are, as well as provide back valuable insights to the business.
Absolutely, Tarun. Like you mentioned, making sure that there's this data view across the organization. And you do this by posting consumption and output. So this is going to let your business know what items have you consumed, what machines have you used, what have you produced. So this lets your supply chain team know that they have to reorder products, or if you have configured automatic replenishments, to reorder more. Is going to let your sales team know that, hey, you just produced a new chair, so that's ready and available to be sold. So just making sure that all of your business has that information, right? So the production journal is very flexible. It can let you know exactly what you output, exactly what you consumed, or if the order is partially done, how much is left to consume and how much is left to output. So it's just a very efficient tool to share that information across the organization, right? And the order statistics that you mentioned really going to help you get an accurate visualization of that. So you're not going to have to download this information, stuff it in an Excel, and calculate all that. These are built-in calculations that already come with Business Central. Though if you do want to, there is a seamless integration with Microsoft Excel. So if you do want to see how that looks, you can always open it in Excel too.
So now Tammy decides if some of these items should be made to order or made to stock. And so you want to look at this almost like what could be. If we go back to food, what's perishable? You don't want to stock that, of course, because it just requires a lot of space, and space is basically money for any manufacturing facility. And so you can plan this if for items that are really hot and that are in demand. You probably want to stock those so that you can ship them to the customers sooner. And then the orders that are a little bit more custom or not as popular, you probably want to resort that to made to order. And so this really helps, obviously, Tammy and the team ensure that we're optimizing the production as much as possible. So this is just another perk that you can have with Business Central. It allows you to take it that extra step where now you can do planning of your items, and you can decide. And obviously, you can alternate that. There'll be some recommendations along the way, but it's really up to kind of you and your strategy to decide how you want to, if you want to stock or if you want to made to order items.
This feature is particularly important if you have very elevated costs in everything that's dealing with data inventory, right? So as you mentioned, Taruna, space is money, but there's so much more to that. You have to place that item on the shelf, you have to take it back, you have to get rid of it. So sometimes materials can be expensive to get rid of it according to certain regulations. So just disposing of items can be costly. Shipping it back. So making sure that you have an optimized control of your inventory is very important. And with Business Central, you have all the tools needed for that. So you can set when do you want to trigger an assembly or a purchase or a production, when there's 20 units left or when there's 50 left, how much do you want to buy back, or how many do you want to make additional units, right? You can, when do you want them, how much lead time do you need to receive these, all these kind of details and parameters that you can put, the rounding precision, the flushing method, so many things that you can add there. And this is going to really allow you to smoothen that inventory management and reduce costs. So if you have very elevated costs in your warehouse linked to like perishable products or products that aren't being sold, do look into these features.
And so sometimes maybe your facility, or in this case, Tammy's facility, may get some custom orders. And so that's fairly easy to do with Business Central because of the way that you've documented everything already. And so you can basically configure any type of base product, and then assign it a different type of routing, so that it can help customize it. So for instance, let's say that someone ordered a chair, or a table that they wish to engrave. Well, then the base product will probably remain the same, but the routing, which is the process, that will probably differ. And so in this case, like I said, for Tammy, it's super easy because she'll just take the base order that she's already kind of created and documented in Business Central, and then just assign it a new routing process. And so that is something that you can, it's just easily made through Business Central because of the way that you've managed your business within this one system.
And there's a lot of ways you can do this. It can be an assembly order, it can be a production order, depending on how you want to set it up for your business. But it's just very easy. And usually these kind of custom orders, right? Of course, you're not gonna have a custom-made product ready to be sold because, as the name implies, it's customized. So you're gonna be able to set that production to, assemble to order or make to order, so that you have your stock unit and then you customize it as the orders come in. Right, so this is going to save you a lot of time, a lot of flexibility, and just being able to fulfill custom orders. So you have the flexibility whether you're selling goods that you make, whether you're customizing products for customers, whatever you need, Business Central's got you covered.
And you know what I really like about this module? I know that it's a little bit the premium price, but what I really like is that it really helps you automate your whole production line. And so just the way that you're kind of grabbing all this information and storing it, you're able to kind of do much more and kind of save the time of your people to focus on other activities that may be a bit more of a higher value, because then you can rely on your system to just automate the process. And so once it's kind of like properly implemented like it was in ProBark situation, there's so much room for there's so much opportunity to just automate the whole process, which makes me super excited about this module. So take a look at it a little bit closer. We're going to do another episode on other features that are going to be important for the operations team in the next episode, so stay tuned for that. And then if you haven't already, I would just suggest that you subscribe down, I think down below, there's a button here somewhere. And then, yeah, just subscribe and get notified for all of the upcoming episodes. If you haven't already watched previous episodes, go do that right away.
All right, we look forward to seeing you all in our next episode. Taruna, it's been a pleasure as always. Looking forward to our next recording together.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.